Well, it's just your biggest kind of obstacles in this seduction is going to be the initial chemistry, and that's going to be a big thing. Is the girl there to be seduced or not? And that's one of the things I feel that's where I kind of disagree with the ownership mentality and the it's all in your control thing, because some girls just don't want to be seduced that night.
Yeah.
And you just hit them at the wrong time. Like, okay, she agreed to go on the date with you, but then the day before or the morning of, she got her period, so she knows she can't go home with you that night. But she decided not to flake on the date because she's still kind of interested. But she kind of tries to be standoffish just to kind of avoid getting that in the mood and having it go too far on that first date or whatever.
Yeah, and she's solipsistic. She's not thinking about how you take it. She's just thinking of it from her perspective. So she's not even trying to be mean about it.
No, you can tell pretty soon, because it's the same thing I do when I get fat-fished. Because the difference between me on a date when I'm trying to bang the girl and when I ended up with a girl who I have no interest whatsoever in banging, the only difference really in how I behave is the Kino escalation. Like, I just don't touch them at all. I also try to, stay on safe ground as far as the topics. Like, I try not to get her too enthusiastically into something.
Like a sandwich or sex? Either or is off limits?
Yeah, something like that.
Fat fish. I really love that term. They got to bring that back into the norm.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, her mouth still works, but I'm kind of...
Well, you don't have to. That's the thing. You have success. You have a number of notches under your belt. You can get something better, so you don't have to. The kind of guy that has it's all pink mentality, I think that works better for a guy who's had a dry spell and he needs to just break the streak.
Well, I think I agree with that, but I also wanted to comment, in my experience, I don't like, let's say you get a blowjob on the first date, but you don't go all the way. A lot of girls will have that little, not LMR, but regret moment after that. Like, Jesus, I just went home with him and blew him. And then she's going to be struggling with that. So either you're going to have to have the second date shortly thereafter, so she doesn't have too much time to think and talk to her friends and everything, or you're going, because if she goes and tells her friends, like, I was on a date with him and I blew him on the first date in the alley behind the club, you know what's going to happen with those girls.
They're going to rip into her.
Yeah, and also she doesn't have that it just happened type of excuse anymore either, because if you take a girl home on the first night and sleep with her, she can be like, oh, it just happened. I mean, I don't know what it was, but we're out, we're laughing, we're having fun. He asked if I wanted to come home and watch his see his fish tank, and I said, sure, I love fish, and we went back to his place. He gave me a glass of wine, and it just happened. If the story goes, well, I went out with him on my period, and I just ended up blowing him in the back alley behind the club, and I'm seeing him again in 4 days when my period is over, so even the best girlfriends in the world are going to run some slut shaming on her.
And if the first girl's smart, she'll just say nothing happened, and then she'll believe in her head that nothing happened. So it's kind of just never happened, I guess.
So I kind of like it's cool. Kissing on the first date is cool because that tends to not kick in too much of last minute regrets. Some fairly involved makeout session with some groping, probably not too smart. But it depends on your goal. Like, if you want to take her home that night, just run hard from start to finish. If you're planning on trying to make this into like 2 dates, close, and then turn her into a plate, you kind of want to try and run it slower, so you're kind of slow burning it. So you give her a nice hour and a half on the first date, and then you just schedule the next meetup. Because I'm a big fan of Kino escalation and kissing on the first date just to establish that frame.
Yeah, it's a sexual thing. You're not going to friend zone me. or however you want to word it.
Yeah, that's exactly it. You're just doing your best to stay out of the, oh, it was a nice guy, but there was no chemistry. Because that's the kind of the kiss of death when the girl's like, well, it was nice enough, but there was no chemistry.
Yeah.
Or, even worse, it was a pretty hot guy, but there was no chemistry there. And it's like you have to create that chemistry through creating and manipulating tension.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, you got to get that emotional investment. And you're right. I've seen attractive guys where they can't do that, and it ends up being they just kind of wasted their talent.
Yeah, you have to get to that point, because a guy who is like top 20% and is really good with his mouth, to put it that way, and really good at creating and manipulating tension and doing kino and escalation is going to do a lot better than a really, really hot guy who sucks at all three of these, because that really, really hot guy, he's going to get laid too. Because, let's be fair, if you're a 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10 guy, girls are literally throwing the pussy after you.
Right.
But you're only going to be able to sleep with the girls who approach you and who drive the escalation.
And just tell you to shut up and let it happen.
Yeah, well, it's the low-hanging fruit thing that John was talking about last night. You have low-hanging fruit that you can just pick. It's the girl with daddy issues at the club who just comes up to you sloppy drunk and starts kissing you. Okay, fair enough. Just take her out. Make sure you film it so you don't get a nasty day after. And always do your aftercare.
So important.
Taking a girl home and banging her is a lot like buying a new car. Sure, it's new, but you still want to get, the under treatments and check the tires, rotate the tires, and check the air pressure if you've driven it a couple of times.
Mm-hmm. Well, I figure if a pimp can keep a girl on the line with good aftercare when he treats her that horribly, like surely a guy just picking up a girl at the bar can apply a little bit of that in his life and make it work.
Well, it's as easy as if you were out drinking heavily in the morning, give her a glass of orange juice and, an Advil. Don't kick her out. Don't wake her up at like 7 a.m. and like, okay, the Uber is outside waiting. My wife will be home in an hour.
I've done that. I was with my buddy Mike when we were running game, and there was his 2 flight attendants. We picked him up and brought him back to his place because he had a spare bedroom. Funniest thing is because we had to work the next day. We were at fleet school at the time on a course, so we had to be at work at 7:30. We had got off the bar. It was like 4 or 5 o'clock before we even got to bed. The stunned look on these girls' faces when we're waking up, having like that Home Alone moment where we got to catch the flight. Priceless. They're like, how the hell did you guys shave already? Are you even drunk or are you even hungover? We're like, not yet.
No, but that's a funny thing because that's a habit thing. Because I had a job for years where I had to get up at like 5:30 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
I still wake up at 5:30 in the morning.
Oh yeah, it's instinct.
Yeah, I wake up and then I look at the time and it's like, it's fucking 5:30 in the morning. I'll go back to sleep. But you still, even if you've been out drinking until like 4 o'clock in the morning and you go and fall asleep and it's like you wake up an hour later like, okay, I'm awake.
Oh, I know. And you can't get back to bed and everybody says you look like you got hit in the face with a shovel, but you feel fine.
Yeah,
you get those John eyes going on.
Yeah, I actually have a cream for that. That you smear it under your eyes and it tightens the skin up. I'm not sure what the hell is in it, but it works.
Oh, you mean Preparation H?
No, I don't use hemorrhoid cream on my face.
A lot of people do. That's like a makeup from the pros tip that they use for people with under eye problems. So, I'm assuming the smell's got to be bad though.
It's very minty, I think.
Yeah, but I think it's it's alum. Same as like, I don't know, for your shaving kit, did you have those aluminum bars or no?
No.
Ooh. Oh, I guess because you got the full beard, you might not need it. But if you ever go back to like short or shaven, it's definitely worth looking into. It's a nice, it tightens up the skin, acts as a bit of an astringent. If you accidentally nick yourself, it'll pretty much sterilize that. So you never end up getting any infections. Really helps with the ingrown hairs. It's just a little bar of like an aluminum crystal. You get a little wet and wipe it around.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah. I was thinking too, when you're talking about emotional investment, I was thinking, you remember Mystery when he had the what was it called where he got a girl to do a favor, like hold his drink or do something for him?
Oh yeah, I remember the thing. I just don't remember what he called it.
Damn it. Proving herself. Anyways, any of those things. Yeah, where you get a girl to do it. And I was thinking, back to somebody tweeted recently about the Ben Franklin effect, where the best way to get somebody to like you is to have them do you a favor. When the common idea is that if you do somebody else a favor, then they're more likely to like you, but it's actually the opposite. And I was thinking, he's tapped into that for game. And I talked about it in my video for the emotional investment part. Getting a girl to invest in you, the more she invests in you, the better off that chemistry happens.
Yeah, of course, because the more it's using the sunk cost fallacy.
Mm-hmm.
The more time she spends on you, the more invested she gets. It's kind of like same thing we got going on. Like if you've been up with a girl that you really want to sleep with, and you've been up with her on 3 dates, and it still hasn't been able to, make it happen, and you're like, okay, normally I wouldn't take a girl out on a 4th date without sleeping with her, but I really want to bang this chick. So you do a 4th date and a 5th date, and before you know it, you're stuck with 2 kids and a house in the suburbs because you just got too emotionally invested to be like, next.
That escalated fast.
One of the issues that I'm seeing with guys is like they do hard next over nothing. And I'm a big fan of the soft next, or like if a girl turns you down and is like, okay, you know what, I think we want different things. I'm after something slightly more serious than what you're after, etc. I'm gonna give you one of those.
Yeah, just okay.
Just say okay, fair enough, and then you text her again in a month or two, and you see what happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've seen a lot of guys with it. Krauser or Black Dragon, he said the same thing, that when he'd lose a plate all the time because they want a serious boyfriend, but then like 6 months to a year later, they'd always end up calling back.
Yeah, and I think and even if you haven't slept with them, like let's say you went on the 1st date with a girl and you had good chemistry and you had fun, and you tried to hit her up for a 2nd date, and she's like, well, I'm looking for something more serious than what you're bringing to the table, or I think we're looking for different things, or whatever excuse she's given. Just be like, okay, don't be emotionally invested in giving her the answer, and just a couple of months down the road, hit her up again and be like, hey, we went on a great date so-and-so long ago. What do you say we catch a drink or something?
And that's funny because I've seen girls do that exact same thing too. I sent an email out last Friday on Charlie, who's my bipolar girl, and it was the same thing. Like we had fun for about a month. We split up. Well, by split up, she went crazy, started dudes, and I got emotionally invested, but I learned from it, whatever. But like a month later, she would do that. She just very casual conversation. Hey, how's it going? Do you still want your PCAP back? And it's so funny how many of these red pill like systems that we got are just kind of taken wholesale from women and then adopted to a male sensibility. Like it's really, really clever. I think I see why women hate it so much.
Yeah, because we're basically using their tools against them, and a lot of these are just simple concepts, and it's like to go back to with the overthinkers. It's very easy to overthink, but what you're doing, you're basically dialing in a set of rules for your own behavior, so you don't.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, you know what? Don't take her on an expensive dinner on the 1st date because it puts pressure on her and it costs.
And you're emotionally invested, and
yeah, and also, if you're spending $500 a date to take a girl to dinner, that gets expensive. Like I couldn't okay, I was down a bit in volume, so I think I've only done like 4 or 5 dates this week.
Mm-hmm.
But if I do like $300 a date, that gets expensive fast. I could have a very nice cocaine habit for that money.
Probably have more to show for it at the end too.
But if you go out and you're like, hey, let's grab a $4 cup of coffee, or let's go grab, maybe a $10 beer each. That's not a big deal. You can do like 30 dates and you're still not out that much.
Yeah.
But, dropping $2,000 a week in dinners, I mean, Jesus.
Well, that's the thing. It sets the expectations too. Like if you're that guy, like you're going to have to easily keep on par with that or be more. And not that you have to, but people come to expect it, and you basically fall into people's expectations more often than not. If you've already shown that you're this giant provider who slings bills, like it's going to be so easy for you to fall in that trap where you do that anyway, and you end up just going broke. That's where you end up. Then and then you blame women for it. That's the worst part. They didn't ask him on these dates. He asked them. And then at the end of it, he gets mad at them because they're doing it, projecting his own hatred of his own behavior onto a girl.
Yeah, well, I think that's why the relationships that come from like The Bachelor and The Bachelorette never work out. Because if you see the dates they go on, oh yeah, we're going skydiving. Okay, we're going horseback riding in Montana. Okay, we're being swooped on a private jet to Cancun to go island hopping or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And once the bar is set that high, it's very hard when you get into a regular relationship away from the TV production and you're back like, hey, you want to grab, dinner at Olive Garden.
I hear they stopped salting their pasta. Oh, really? Take me now, big boy.
Yeah, well, they just set the bar so high that it's impossible to live up to. And I think that a lot of these rules just exist to keep guys from doing stupid shit. It was kind of my topic on my Tinder post that I posted this week. Because one of the, you know what I do for a living. Don't say it out loud. And one of the things I started thinking, one of the things porn star. No, one of the things I got into was like, I was trying to think through like, okay, how would I identify a Tinder account? Like, if you think of Tinder like a nightclub, how would I identify the creeps, the guys who are just looking for a fight, the guys who are not going to spend any money, and so on, and keep them from bothering the people who are actually buying drinks and the hot girls who are bringing the guys in and the so on. That's really creepy when your face is that close to the screen.
Oh yeah, sorry, I have to reach the keyboard here to say hi. Jack's in the chat now. What
Yeah,
is this? What's the problem? Sorry about that.
And what was I saying? No, anyway, so the thing is, how would you identify a shitty account on Tinder? Well, you want to look at, let's say if you were making a bot to push your sex sites.
Mm-hmm.
How would you do it? Well, you'd have a picture, one or two pictures of a really hot girl who is partially undressed. You'd want to swipe right on everyone. You'd maximum send them one message, if that at all.
And most likely it's from a script, so they'll be generally the same size.
Yeah, and it will usually also be either you'll unmatch really quick if they don't open you, or you'll unmatch real quick if they don't respond. So if you're looking at most guys' typical Tinder swiping pattern is they'll just swipe right on everything and just sort through the matches they want to talk to afterwards.
Right.
That's very bottish. And what Tinder wants you ideally to match with 100% of the people you swipe right. And it wants you to have conversations with them and eventually meet up. Or share
that's how they get you hooked.
And if you're a guy, it's the same thing if you swipe left on everyone. Tinder's going to assume, okay, this person is not here to meet anyone, so we're not going to, show this person to other people, because Tinder and dating apps are able to shadow ban.
Mm-hmm.
So what they're doing is, let's say you're paying for a premium, but you're the kind of creepy guy that, no girls want to talk to, or you've been reported 4 or 5 times for doing the beach muscle line and you're on your last legs, or, you barely open any girls or whatever. Tinder is just going to show you a lot of girls, but they're just going to say that we're not going to show his profile to anyone. So you can swipe 10,000 girls and no girls will have swiped you because you haven't been shown to any girls.
Yeah. And the other guy won't be any the wiser. Like, as far as he knows, it's all working as per normal. It's just his success rate went down.
Yeah, he's just in a cold spell or whatever, and he keeps paying his subscription for months on end until he finally gets fed up and quits.
Yeah. I was thinking too, Bo, I was thinking when you said that they want people to have 100% success rate, I was thinking about they probably want you to have a closer to like an intermittent reward, a 25% level success rate. Because that's usually the level where people start to get most hooked on something. It's not when it wins every time you touch it. It's when you get 1 out of every 4.
Yeah, so
it's like a gambling simulator.